Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here. So there we go, I got sound. We're going to keep it on track. And we're going to give everybody an opportunity. So if you all could just politely, we'll have some individuals coming in throughout. All right, I'm going to make, thank you for being here. No, I want you to just focus. Well, my name is Mark Sharp, and I am the director of Soaring City Innovation Partnership, formerly known as the Tampa Innovation Alliance, Tampa Innovation Partnership. And I want to thank you for coming. This is the first event in the Black Box Accelerator, the Florida Blue Black Box Accelerator. Can we give that an applause, please? Let's start practicing. Yay! Woo! But no, this space you're in is going to be very important as we move forward as a community, as an organization. Many of you have been tapped to serve on the advisory committee that was formed as we work with our Florida Blue partners to grow a resilient community. And so we thought this would be a good opportunity to bring you together into the room where we're going to be working together collectively. We also have residents from the community, and we're honored to have you here. This is going to be the first of many meetings that we intend on bringing into this room here so that you can meet with, and I know that, oh my goodness, I have to say this because she's the new president of the University of South Florida Go Bulls, Rhea Law. And then, you know, you get in trouble when you start, you know, calling one individual out because you want to call everybody out, because we could call every person sitting here out as an important person that's going to help us bring about the revolutionary change, and we're talking revolutionary change that we want to see in the Uptown district. But I can tell you this, President Law, we were at the ribbon cutting this morning for the new innovation building, 120,000 square feet of just pure innovation right there on Fowler Avenue, which is so exciting. We're going to have some representatives from Florida Department of Transportation, Mr. Fox, and others who are going to get up and talk about what's happening on Fowler. But I want to say that President Law, it's an honor to have you as the president. She understands the importance and value of innovation. She's talked about job creation and how we're going to all collectively work together and how we're going to make sure that everyone in this community has an opportunity to benefit from all the great things that are going to happen. And so couldn't have a better president, and we are honored to have you here. Ma'am, thank you. So let me ask if I could have Mr. David Pizzo, the president of the West Florida Market for Florida Blue, come up along with Chris Bowen, who is the chairman of Soaring City, and also the man who's planning the redevelopment of what was once the University Mall, now Rhythm. So I know a lot of you will have questions, and so I'm going to give them each an opportunity to speak. But first, let me please thank David Pizzo for being here. It was David who came up and said, we got an idea. We want to end generational poverty. We're going to find a way to close the income gap between rich and poor. We want to do something really special. We've targeted 5 zip codes throughout the state, and 2 of them happen to be in your district. And so we're excited because we're going to be working with the Tampa Bay Partnership and the new president and CEO, Demetra Simmons, who will be here, and Mr. Pizzo. And they have agreed to work with us and partner with our organization to do what some say is impossible, but we know can be done and will be done. And with that, let me hand the microphone over to Mr. David Pizzo. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. So many familiar faces. I just love this space. I'll be very brief. Mark gives me too much credit. I don't deserve any credit. I help things move along, but I work for a great company that serves over 5 million Floridians, and that enables us to put a lot of money back in the community and really work on delivering our mission of helping people and communities achieve better health. And I think this is one example of that, and I'll be very brief. Last few years, we've had a number of areas that our foundation supports: food insecurity, health equity, and mental wellness. In addition to that, a couple of years ago, we really wanted to look at what the drivers of health were. And when you boil it all down, one of the biggest drivers, you know this, is the zip code you live in. Well, why is that? Again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, because a lot of things go along with that: education, jobs, transportation, things like that. And if you really, in the end, look at household income, that's a big driver. So we, as a company, said, let's look at, Mark says, you know, like, we're going to solve generational poverty. No, Florida Blue can't do that. We just want to be a catalyst. So we identified 5 zip codes, and 2 are right here: 33612 and 33613. Census tracts: Bush to Bears, 275 to Bruce B. Downs. That's kind of the area. So it encompasses a lot of the IP area, the CDC, who's doing fantastic work. So we basically have identified a program we're internally calling Growing Resilient Communities, where we can put some additional funding. We had put about $900,000 into this area prior to an announcement in July some of you were at. We announced a grant of $750,000 that is going into IP, but essentially Soaring Cities, to create a community component on how can we be a catalyst working with all the partners here to bring more business in, more funders to really help this relatively small geographic area. So that's all we are. We're a catalyst, but a dedicated team, and we're looking forward to working with the new advisory board on how all of these projects, what you're hearing from Chris and Mark, Soaring Cities, Rhythm, really fits together. But it's not to displace people. It's a lot easier if developers want to come in and just, you know, redevelop, put expensive housing in and everything. But how do you raise up a community, increase that household income and all the opportunities? And that's why we're here. And I'm proud to work for a company, and many of you I know, you know, from all the work that I've personally done on different boards, but we're just so excited about the opportunity to do good. We don't have the answers. We're just one of many partners. We bring a little money, but a lot of passion. And I know Rick Bennett on my team, he's been very involved in this work. He's going to be one of the panelists tonight, too. So thank you all for giving me a couple minutes, and appreciate what you all doing to make this a better area. So, Mr. Chris Bowen.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you so much, Florida Blue. And wow, we've got quite a group here tonight. I'm looking at all these faces, and I saw the list coming in, and someone that I hold in very high regard saw the list and said, "Wow." That's all he could say. It's like, "Wow." Yeah, I said, "Yeah, this is going to be an event." I'm going to be very brief. This is a gathering tonight. This is a discussion around the table with all of us, and hopefully it extends then all the way into our neighborhoods and our overall community. First of all, I'll say welcome to Rhythm. Welcome to Rhythm at Uptown. Thank you. And welcome to Florida Blue Black Box Accelerator. This is, you know, we hear about in tech communities, we hear about accelerators, incubators, you name it. And this one's gonna do what those do as well, functionally. But it's more importantly, this is a community accelerator. This is a place for the community to come and really get the entrepreneurial spirit and see what that is, and see what, try that on and see what you can do with it. And, you know, it's amazing what you'll be able to do with it and what our community will be able to do with that. So welcome to Rhythm. Soaring City Innovation Partnership, this is their spot. A black box, for anyone who's kind of wondering what that means, in tech speak, that's about something they call input output. And you put data and information and concepts into the black box. And you can then, it's in an environment where you can discuss it, you can research it, you can look at it and measure it. And then the output is something that you all together here really wanted to achieve. And I think it's a beautiful place for that to happen and for really to be, really a central opportunity and place, a safe place and a cool place for our community. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and I'm gonna, I'm getting a wave back, so we're gonna go.
Thank you, Chris. And I also want to thank and introduce the chairwoman of the Hillsborough County Commission, Kim Overman, if you would stand. We have the district commissioner for Hillsborough County, Ms. Gwen Myers. Ms. Myers, if you'd stand, please. These two ladies are a part of the Hillsborough County Commission that are helping to drive the change that's going to be taking place here in the Uptown District, and you'll be hearing a lot more from them. And I also want to say, Ms. Donahue, who is on the council for Temple Terrace, if you please stand. And she's looking at her phone, so I'm going to call her. I do want to say we will be introducing the individual who is going to help us coordinate and drive as the director. We're not a title organization here, but she will be helping us to make this a reality. She has a lot of experience at the Tampa Museum. She has a lot of experience at the city of Tampa. I want to say, Nancy Kitten, would you please stand? And Mr. Holloway, where are you? Stand, Mr. Holloway. Just stand up, please. Stand. Mr. Holloway, I want to introduce this young man. I met him downstairs at the Amrock in the Terry Willingham space where they do advanced manufacturing robotics. And she's working with him because he's got a training program from entrepreneurs. And I said, we are going to make a difference. We're going to move the needle. We are going to slowly tackle this problem. He goes, well, introduce me to people who care. I want to be around people who care and want to make this happen. And I said, you come upstairs tonight, I'll call you out. He says, please don't ask me to speak, so I won't ask you to speak. But I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to make sure that you're introduced to everyone in this room over time, and you're going to make a difference, sir. Thank you. Now let me introduce Mr. Craig Fox. I met him. Talk about a guy that's going to make a difference. Young man, dynamic, driven. And I said, all right, here's the deal. We got to do something about Fowler Avenue. We've talked about Fowler for decades. When I was a student, I won't say how long ago, driving down Fowler, and my Plymouth Fury 3, four-door, looked like a tank, driving down, going to college, I would look at Fowler and go, couldn't we do something better? And as a commissioner, I thought, can't we do something better? And to have a director for the Florida Department of Transportation, and David Gwynn, who is driven to actually do something real on this road, and take a road that's a state road and make it a road that can be shared and used by everyone. A road that's going to, I think, exemplify the new Department of Transportation. We're really excited. And so he introduced me to Craig Fox. Craig, would you come up here, sir, and say a few words about what you're going to be doing as we begin to transform Fowler Avenue?
Thanks, Mark. And good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here. So I'm going to discuss the following projects on the screen that just show what the department is doing. Some projects we have completed already, and also some that we have upcoming. All right, so the first one is lighting LED upgrades. Most of the original lights that you see along the interstate, there's something called high pressure sodium. We're converting those now to LEDs. They're a lot brighter, and lighting is actually one of the cheapest ways to increase, as far as cost benefit goes, one of the cheapest ways to increase safety along roadways, because it identifies pedestrians. It helps drivers actually see what's going on. So this project, the limits are, whoa, okay, disappeared on me. Okay, limits were from 52nd Street all the way over to Morris Bridge Road. This one is completed construction and was upgrading all those lights to those nice and bright LEDs. Next project we have are intersection improvements that you'll see under construction right now. They're at various intersections. The ones closest to here are 15th, 22nd, Bruce Downs, and also the one at University Collection Drive that's not shown on on this diagram right now. But these involve building some bulb outs and also changing the radius of the intersection, so when the cars turn, they're not just blindly turning into a pedestrian crosswalk. So you want to angle them, have them come in at the right angle so that they can see pedestrians and they can actually make a safe turn instead of just speeding around a corner, which is a lot more dangerous. So this project is under construction right now. We anticipate it will complete this spring over the next couple months. Next one I have is traffic signal upgrades. This is occurring at 3 intersections, Raintree, Gillette Ave, and River Hills Drive. And that involves traffic signal reconstructions. And it's also going to involve upgrading them to fit with our oh man, now I forgot the acronym for it. But it's, traffic ops are working on basically coordinating the signals so that they have more information going along the corridor, so we can better coordinate the signals and have smoother traffic flow along the corridor. So that is under construction right now also, and it's slated to complete in summer of 2022. Okay. Oh, wait, there we go. I'll go back one. All right, and the next one is the Fowler Avenue roadway resurfacing. This project has not started design yet. It's actually the design's gonna begin later on this fall of this year. The scope of the project is generally to resurface the street and also implement what we call complete streets. And what complete streets are is looking at the roadway context, not only for the way the road and the neighborhoods are today, but also what's planned out in the future. So we just wanna make sure that we're building roadways to the right context. We are undergoing what we call a roadway audit, safety audit. So we're looking at the crash history. We're also doing walks and make sure that we understand the roadway context. And from this study, we'll be able to really add to the scope of the project a little bit more. So this project will be fleshed out a little further on, and it's going to go to construction in early 2025. And now what we're here for, what Mark was alluding to, is what we have going along Fowler Avenue from North Florida all the way out to 56th Street. This is a multimodal Pd study. And the scope of this project is, I want to bring attention to 2 items, the median guideway and innovative intersections. Innovative intersections, those are still under development, so we're kind of waiting to get those concepts kind of laid out. But the median guideway, we're going to look at 3 different alternatives, and it's really exciting to get into. Next slide, there we go. So we're looking at 3 options, the business access transit lane, the frontage road concept, and the median transit way. The first one will allow buses to have an exclusive lane on the outside. The second concept will have a frontage road system, and the third one is more intensive one, a median transit way. So as the study goes along, we'll be able to learn more information about which alternative fits best in the community. We're also going to come back to the community either late 2022 or early 2023 with a public alternatives workshop. Of course, we'll let all the organizations know. Design can start as early as 2024 and construction in 2026. And all this is also dependent on availability of funding for HART. So we'll look forward to bringing these projects to the community and sharing more information as we go along. And my contact information is on the slide here. And of course, we want to remember to be alert today, alive tomorrow, and safety doesn't happen by accident. Thank you for your time. Yeah, Bruce B. Downs. Yeah, so Bruce B. Downs is actually a county road, so I don't have that information. Oh, sorry. He was asking when the traffic signal is going to be installed at Bruce B. Downs in front of Florida Hospital. Sorry, Tampa Veterans Hospital. Yeah, Bruce B. Downs is actually a county road, so I can find that information out for you, but I have to ask the county for that. No problem.
Well, Ben, we'll get that answer for you. And Craig, thank you very much for being here. We're excited. We do want you to know that we hope to be hosting some of the meetings so that the community can sit down with the Florida Department of Transportation and use this space. So again, we want you to see this space, and we think it's an awesome opportunity for you to engage FDOT as they begin the PD&E for Fowler Avenue. The spine of the innovation is right there on Fowler Avenue. You change that road when you get off 275. You start now with the IDEA School, you head down towards the University of South Florida. It's going to be amazing. We hope to get people out of their cars, into transit, and safely using the road. To do that, though, you need great planners. And first I want to say, I'd ask Melissa Zornita and Wade Reynolds, if you'd come up here. And Melissa is the executive director for the Hillsborough Planning Commission. Wade works with her in the TPO. And we also have, I want to say, Beth Alden, who isn't scheduled to speak yet, but Beth is with the MPO, now TPO, so Tampa Planning Organization. And Beth, thank you for being here. And I also want to say, because I see Sarah Combs sitting next to Demetra Simmons, we got superstars in this room. Sarah, would you please stand? Sarah is the executive director, president, and such for University Area Community Development Corporation. She is just driving the change up here. And next to her is Demetra Simmons, who you'll be hearing from both these ladies fairly soon. But Demetra is the new president and executive director of the Tampa Bay Partnership. Thank you for being here. And with that, let me turn it over to Melissa Zornita.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be here this evening. I just have a couple of slides to share some of the complementary work that we are doing at the Planning Commission. We are in the process of updating the county's comprehensive plan as well as the city of Tampa's comprehensive plans. The comprehensive plans are the guidebook for how growth, development, infrastructure will occur over the next 20 to 25 years. Right now, for the city of Tampa, we're looking out to 2045, and we've got a survey online called livegrowthrive2045.com. It's catchy, so hopefully you remember it, and would love for you to scan the code. I see some of you doing it. That's awesome. Go there, weigh in on the vision for the city of Tampa for from now till 2045. And then follow along on that website. There's a place where you can sign up to get notices about future meetings and things of that nature. So that's big picture, looking at the entire city, the entire county. But we've also are kicking off a project to look specifically at Fowler Avenue in conjunction with the work that Craig is doing, looking at the PD&E. So we want to transform this roadway, and there are a lot of studies happening along Fowler. There is a study that HART is doing looking at bus rapid transit along the roadway. There is the work that Craig and FDOT are doing looking at their PD&E to look at how to reconfigure the road and make the road more safe. There is a transit-oriented development study that's being done by HART that is looking at where stations for rapid transit would occur along Fowler. And what we want to look at is big picture along the whole corridor. How are we going to have a vision for transforming what Fowler looks like outside of the right-of-way? The use of the land is sorely underutilized out here. It's a suburban roadway that has a ton of potential to be something different, but we want community input on what that's going to look like. And so that study is going to be kicking off over the summer. We'll be out here, hopefully using this space, to have some community meetings to look at what that holistic vision will be. What do we need to change in the comprehensive plan? Do we have the right tools in place in our land development code to make the kind of development that we want to see out here that this site has already seen along the rest of the corridor? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wade to talk about a couple of transportation projects in the area.
Thank you, Melissa.
Sure thing.
All right, which one do I press?
To the right.
To the right. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to talk about a couple of studies that we've recently done, and very thankful to Mr. Bowen and RD Management for their cooperation on this. This is the USF to Green Artery Trail study. The southern end of it, at the southern end of that red line, is the Hillsborough River. And the Green Artery Trail was a community-led initiative to connect 22 or 26 neighborhoods south of the Hillsborough River. And it goes from the northern end of the Riverwalk all the way around to basically ending where IKEA is and then coming south to Palmetto Beach, if you're familiar with the area. So the idea is to connect that trail idea all the way up to Fowler, which is where that red line starts to go east and west. This option used a combination of 12th Street, Lantana, and then 15th Street at the north end, and then working into Fowler and the improvements on Fowler that Mr. Fox just mentioned and that we're very excited to see happening. As you go north of Fowler on that, you can see that that red line as it goes to the very north comes into the backside of the VA hospital, and that partnership with Rhythm to make that happen is a great thing to see moving forward. This option also on this study also hit the greatest number of communities of concern, which are a great focus of ours that includes a number of things such as limited English proficiency, high minority concentration, or low income, as well as some other factors into how we do our planning processes. The other option that was moved forward in this study was taking advantage of a project that the City of Tampa already has going on 30th Street to run up along Rowlett Park on the south end, crossing the river, and then use 30th Street to take advantage of the city's planned improvements. They're proposing a side path along 30th Street as part of that, and then that could hook into the Bruce B. Downs Trail or wide sidewalk that is going in currently on the east side of Bruce B. Downs. So these really connect those neighborhoods to the south of the Hillsborough River with the IP area, the Uptown area, and hopefully look to connect those a lot better. Oops. Just to mention a couple of county projects. This is the one I just mentioned on Bruce B. Downs on the east side that's going in right now. There are the sidewalks going in at Harvest Hope Park. And there is a new intersection proposed at Bruce B. Downs and Campus Hill Drive, as well as the one that was mentioned earlier at Richard Silver Way, which I will have to look at the timing for you on. Additionally, we just finished up a safe access to park study, which comes up with a lot of ideas. One of the parks we chose was Copeland Park, and looking at some of the safety issues around it, things that could be implemented quickly and at a low cost to improve the safety of users of that park and make it a greater draw for people throughout the area. And just to mention a couple of studies that we completed about a year and a half ago, 15th Street, you will have already seen some of these improvements gone in. The map on the left showing those red and yellow dots, those are pedestrian and bicycle fatalities and serious injuries just between Fowler and Fletcher on that. If you look at the middle picture, those are the bus stops, and you may note that those line up very close to each other. The county has already gone in and done some initial quick fix operations there to do some raised crosswalks, to extend some sidewalks, and to just make it a lot safer for all those areas. This bus route has the highest ADA use percentage in the entire county, so it is a great concern, and we're looking to continue these types of quick fix improvements as best we can, and I know the county has some additional improvements coming up for 15th Street. And just looking at one other corridor that was part of that study, Bruce B. Downs, corridor-wide recommendations. We came up with a number of things, signage, lighting, ADA improvements, and speed management to really try to make that, which is a very dangerous corridor, one of the top 20 most dangerous in the entire county, a safer and better to use place and more welcoming entrance to the University of South Florida. So with that, thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Wade. We appreciate that update. And that's, you understand how complex these things are. Any change requires that you have an opportunity to engage your local government. We're going to make sure that this space is used for that. And so we will be asking you all to come back in the future to talk with the citizens about the many exciting things that are happening in our district. In a few seconds, I'm going to ask Dr. Michael Cross to come and talk with some of our VIPs about some really exciting things that are happening as we grow our resilient community and how we do it. But I did want to give a gentleman who flew in from Boston just to see you, and that's true. Tomorrow we have a speaker, Roni Abovitz, who is was the founder of Magic Leap. Roni has a company called Sun and Thunder. Roni works for the Boston Consulting Group, but also does a lot of consulting for the Department of Defense. And we were talking with Roni. He goes, Mark, I'm going to come here. I want to be part of what you guys are building. I want you to meet one of my partners, Guy Gillian. So Guy will be here. I think he might be here this evening, but I know he's speaking tomorrow morning. and Guy's with the Boston Consulting Group as well, and he's part of the Metaverse division. And we talk about this Metaverse and AI, machine learning, high tech and innovation that's going to change the world. And I know there's a lot of skepticism about, what will or won't happen, but I can tell you the future is going to be very different than what we're looking at today. And I think it's going to be better. But we have to make sure that it's piped into the neighborhood. And so Guy was talking about his work with Walmart. And he was saying, they want to create, I watch Iron Man, I like Tony Stark, but if you know Iron Man movie and you know Tony Stark, he goes, they were talking about how we have to Tony Stark our employees. We got to make our Walmart employees high-tech workers. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Gwen Myers will always ask me, okay, that sounds great, Mark, but what about the community? What about the people? We want to make sure that the community has a chance to upskill. We want to make sure that the community has a chance to take advantage of all this advanced technology and deploy it for the jobs that are going to be created in the future so that they can earn a good wage and raise their family. And so I would like to ask Mark Hasdorf from Forge. Gosh, I hope he's here because okay, great. Mark, come up here. Mark flew in. He's an associate with Roni, but he's working on a project in Boston, and he has a company. They just raised $30 million, and they're training the blue-collar tech workforce. And Mark said to me, Roni said to me, you got to meet this guy. And you know me, when someone tells me I got to do something, we do it. We reached out to him. He said, I'll fly down. I'm busy, but I'm going to fly down. I said, great. We'll introduce you to this entire room. So, room, I want you to meet Mark. And listen, he's thinking about where he's going to relocate, build his next company. So, the company that he has in Boston, he's now going to expand. And he's talked about Texas. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't want to take shots at any other city in Florida, but he's talked about a couple other cities to our south, and he's talked about Orlando. And then he said, how about Tampa?
Hi, guys. So my name is Mark Kasdorf. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company when I was 23. Grew a software company from scratch, all bootstrapped from zero to about $25 million in revenue, and sold it to Accenture, a giant consulting firm. The backbone of that entire company was a really cool training program we built where we took people that had never written a line of code before or designed a product before, and we turned them into product developers and product designers. I hired 700 people in 9 years. 70% of them, we were their first job ever in software development. We were in a boot camp. We actually hired them. And our revenue model was we sold their services to Fidelity and Procter & Gamble and Bose and big companies that needed great software development. So I left Accenture in 2020 and decided that I really loved this apprentice model of training that I had spent 7 years understanding and learning and growing, and I wanted to apply it to a much bigger problem. So the problem that I'm tackling today is America is running out of people that know how to do things with their hands. For nearly 30 years, we have been underbuilding our skilled tradespeople. We've stopped respecting them, we've stopped building them, we've sent every kid to college, and the result is that today, the average age of a master plumber is 57 years old. The average age of a master electrician is 52, of a carpenter is 46. These are the exact jobs that aren't going to go away when AI hits us with the next industrial revolution and eliminates all the white-collar jobs. And yet no one's doing it. So we have kind of a cool company that we're building. We've raised a whole bunch of venture money. We're in Boston live right now, and we effectively do 3 things. We're building a private trade school where we are in person training the next generation of trades worker for America. This is not an e-learning company. There's no virtual reality. Like, they're standing in front of a table saw. They're learning to be a carpenter. We're surrounding them with a whole bunch of software. Some of that now is augmented reality. So I'll give you an example. When I send a 23-year-old into a house to do something as simple as hang a TV, and they find a stud, they measure 16 inches on center, and there's no stud. Not every house is built the way it was supposed to be built. My 23-year-olds have a pair of glasses in their pocket they can put on their face, and they can instantly, through a camera built into those glasses, have a senior carpenter looking through their eyes, walking them through how to get unstuck in that situation. And that's just a piece of the software we're building that's already live in the field. This isn't vaporware, we've done this. The third leg of my stool is when I train a 23-year-old, and by the way, I pay them to learn. We pay $15 an hour while people are learning in the program. When I train a young person or a not so young person, we have someone in our program starting Monday who's 50 years old. When I train someone to be a skilled tradesperson and I surround them with a whole bunch of technology, when they graduate the program, I hire them on a W-2 with health insurance, with full benefits. I'm on a mission, thank you. I'm on a mission to build the world's largest skilled labor force. We are employing, building. In Boston right now, if you're a homeowner or a condo owner or a commercial construction site, you can call Forge. That's my company. And we will do anything from build a swing set to hang a TV to do a six-figure renovation of a home with our labor force that we trained. So that's Forge. We're thinking about coming to Tampa. We've got another 6 to 9 months of building in Boston before we're ready to open up GO2. Hopefully in 7 or 8 years, you guys will be able to tell everyone that, we're going to be the future Uber that you saw Forge pitched when we were just in one city. So, thanks a ton. A year ago, if you had asked me what's the hardest part of this program going to be, I thought it was going to be finding people that wanted a career in the trades. We send everyone to college. I thought that no one wanted to do it. It turns out that there's a ton of people out there that are really interested in a debt-free career working with their hands. We, on average, are spending $500 on Indeed.com, a single website. We are getting 150 to 200 resumes per program. 14% of those resumes are women, 20% are non-white. Our field, the team that I have trained in the field today is 20% female. I'd have to pull all of the stats, but we have, for a construction team, an unbelievably diverse set of people building things in Boston. There are a lot of people in America today that are looking for that debt-free career, not stuck behind a computer.
We want Mark here, and that's why, Mr. Pizzo and so many others who've been part of helping us to get this GRC program. Through these relationships, we're meeting people who are introducing us to world changers, and we're excited to have you, and we're excited for the future, and thank you very much for being here. And now we're going to go to what we've been here for, to hear our panel speak, and would Dr. Michael Cross, if you would come forward. And I also, as he's walking up here, I want to thank Dr. Charles Adams from the Judy Ginshaft School of the Honors College for being here. Dr. Adams patiently allowed me for a while to do some be an adjunct professor and teach a class, and what I learned was, whoa, it's a hard job. But I also realized that the students there were amazing, that the interdisciplinary students that you have at the University of South Florida, every one of those young people told me, I want to change the world. I want to go into medicine, but I also have a passion for engineering, but I care about the people who live in the community right across the street. And we started thinking about that and going, there's got to be a way to put these students together with, and President Law spoke about this morning at the ribbon cutting, which is we're going to solve problems. How do we take these students to work together with our community to solve big problems? So Dr. Adams, I want to thank you. We're partnering our organization with the Honors College. We're creating an internship program for the Soaring City area. And we also have Dr. Michael Cross, who's going to be working with us, and I think they told him that he's got to watch me and make sure I stay in a line and not go running off zigzagging. So I'm going to bring you up here and say that Dr. Michael Cross is an amazing man. We've had a chance to work with him. He's going to be interviewing some very special people, and I want to thank you, Dr. Cross, for all you've done, for being part of the strategic plan that we helped put together between the city, the county, and our organization. I know you've done the strategic planning process for the University of South Florida and many, many other things. Thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you for being a friend, and thank you for agreeing to help change the world.
Well, thank you, Mark, for that gracious introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Michael Cross. I'm an associate professor of instruction in the Judy Shaft Honors College at the University of South Florida. I would like to take some time to introduce you to our very distinguished guests tonight. Before I do, I want to briefly share with you why your presence here in the Uptown Innovation Quarter is so very important. The Uptown Innovation Quarter comprises the zip codes 33612, 33613, 33617, and 33620, which roughly covers the area between Bears and Bush, Interstate 275, and Interstate 75. Whether the Uptown Innovation Quarter is where you live, where you secure your livelihood, where you gain your learning, or where you take your leisure, this is the epicenter of opportunity. Your opportunity tonight as members of the community is to ask us questions about how we together can best contribute to our local neighborhood, the Tampa Bay region, and our world. So now on to the panels, the movers and shakers of our community. As I introduce you, I'd like you to come up and take a seat next to me here. This week, the Florida Board of Governors has confirmed her appointment as the 8th president of the University of South Florida, the fastest rising university in the US and globally. She is a proud 5th-generation Floridian who is passionate about the success of the state. She's actively engaged in corporate, public policy, civic, and charitable work, holding top leadership positions with many Florida-based organizations. She served on the inaugural Board of Trustees for the University of South Florida, as well as the board of the Florida Council of 100, the public policy liaison with the Florida governor, the cabinet, legislative leadership, and Supreme Court. She received the Tampa Bay Business Journal Businesswoman of the Year Lifetime Achievement Award in 2022, has been recognized by Florida Trend Magazine, the Tampa Bay Times, with so many other accolades. Please join me in welcoming to this discussion USF President Ray Allah. She is the current chair of the Hillsborough County Commission, representing District 7 in a countywide seat. Prior to serving on the commission, she raised 2 children, launched and ran several successful businesses, including a recreated business, Chamber of Commerce for the Tampa Urban Core. She's a certified financial planner and former CEO of the fee-only registered investment advisory firm and owner of the Heights Exchange LLC, a commercial space in Seminole Heights. As well as chairing the county commission, she is the chair of the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, chair of the Commission on Human Trafficking, and chair of the Transportation Management Area Leadership Group, amongst many other boards. I can tell you from my firsthand experience with her that she is dedicated to enhancing Hillsborough County's public transportation and increasing affordable housing. As evidence, she was recently featured in the Tampa Bay Times article, "Hillsborough County Cries Foul Over Fowler Avenue Transit Plans," with one of my favorite quotes regarding spending on transit, "I don't like paying for things twice." Please put your hands together to welcome to this discussion Hillsborough County Commissioner Kimberly Overman.
Thank you very much.
She is a native and lifelong resident of Hillsborough County, elected to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners in 2020. She has long been an advocate for improving transportation, affordable housing, and healthcare in the county. She's been a leader throughout the COVID-19 crisis, and her theme, "It's all about the people," is reflected in her career, working in Hillsborough County government for 25 years from 1988 to 2013. She also worked in the Departments of Housing and Community Development and Health and Social Services. Her efforts on behalf of Tampa's African American community were showcased In a recent Tampa Bay Times article, Hillsborough pursues African American Art Museum with the aim of recognizing the historical significance of African Americans in Hillsborough County and Tampa. Please give a warm welcome to this discussion, Hillsborough County Commissioner Gwen Myers. Our next panelist manages local partnerships and strategic programs for Florida Blues West region located in Tampa, Florida. He's a native Floridian born in Daytona Beach and grew up in rural, poor North Florida. He has served as a pastor, nonprofit leader, music critic, and spiritual care director before entering the business world. His interest in leadership and social justice and helping break systems of poverty in college and continued as he served as a pastor in urban areas such as Richmond, Virginia, Houston, and Boston. He serves as a member of the board of directors for Feeding Tampa Bay, the governance board of Tampa YMCA, and chairman of the workforce committee and board member for Career Source Tampa Bay, and is part of the executive board for the Stavros Community Center for Economic Education. ABC Action News recently covered one of his initiatives in the partnership with Tampa Family Health Clinics, Feeding Tampa Bay, Florida Blue to bring food pantries to local doctor's office. Please take a moment to welcome to this discussion Florida Blue Strategic Programs and Local Partnership Manager, Rick Bennett. All right, almost done. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the University Area Community Development Corporation and has been working to create positive change in the community for over 11 years. Under her senior leadership, the University Area CDC has more than tripled the number of adults and children they reach through education, health, workforce, and cultural arts programming, among others. She spearheaded the creation of the real estate arm Harvest Hope Properties in 2016, establishing a land banking program that now has acquired 34 properties throughout the community for attainable housing, parks, and other community assets. With more than 18 years experience as in the nonprofit sector, her background covers nearly every facet of the organization, from program development and real estate. Her main focus at the University Area CDC is the holistic redevelopment of the university area with the goal of enabling residents to become change agents to improve the economic and social conditions of their own community. She was recently joined by Representative Kathy Castor to celebrate $2 million in funding for their new cultural campus. Please join me in welcoming to the discussion University Area CDC Executive Director and CEO, Sarah Combs. He was appointed as Florida Department of Transportation District 7 Secretary in July of 2017. Prior to his appointment, he served as Director of Transportation Operations for FDOT District 1 in Bartow, Florida. He spent 30 years in the private sector providing consulting services to the transportation industry before joining FDOT in 2016. He co-founded TEI Engineers and Planners in 1991 and led the growth of the firm to over 125 staff members throughout Florida and Georgia. He later served in senior executive roles for several large engineering consulting firms, leading business units of up to 700 staff members throughout the southeastern United States. As the District 7 Secretary, he provides administrative oversight for the planning, development, and operations for all transportation modes within Citrus, Hillsborough, Hernando, Pasco, and Pinellas counties. He was recently featured in Tampa Bay's Business Journal in an article about Vision Zero Action Plan. Please put your hands together to welcome to the discussion the District 7 Secretary from the Florida Department of Transportation, David Gwynn. She leads an award-winning team of planners with long-range vision of a transportation system that is safe and efficient for all. In recent years, she directed several acclaimed studies using innovative research methods in a collaborative context and forged new interagency partnerships that break down silos and deliver projects. Her work has been recognized for the use of market research in public sector planning for regional consistency building and vision, for creative public engagement and campaigns with online interaction and social media, and for out-of-the-box thinking on rapid transit, walkable communities, welfare to work transportation, resilience to climate change, and performance-based priority setting. In 2017, she was appointed to the National Academy of Sciences panel for transportation research planning. She has also served as a best practice presenter in several Federal Highway Administration peer exchange programs and guidebook panels, and wrote portions of the American Institute of Certified Planners' first exam to certified transportation planning specialists. Please take a moment to welcome to this discussion Executive Director at the Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization, Beth Alden. Thank you. We're almost there, just 3 more. All right. He's a combat decorated retired career military officer. Prior to founding Vistra Communications, he provided strategic communications counsel to senior leadership at the U.S. Central Command and served as a policy director on the Homeland Security Council in the White House. He also served as spokesperson for an Army secretary and on the communications team for a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the Pentagon and worked in the Washington, D.C. office of Fleischman Hillard. He is often sought as a guest speaker and panel moderator on topics including leadership, entrepreneurship, diversity, and service. In recognition of his leadership, he was named a top 100 most influential people in Tampa Bay, Florida 500 most influential business leaders, Tampa Bay Chamber Outstanding Leader of the Year, amongst many other awards. He is an active and avid community supporter, serving on local and national boards, including the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the National Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses, Florida State Minority Supplier Development Council, Tampa Bay Partnership, WEBEDU Public Broadcast Television. He currently serves as the Vice Chair of the Tampa Bay Chamber Board of Directors. He also founded the CEO in Schools Initiative with the Hillsborough County Public Schools and co-created the Advancing Racial Equality and Nonprofit Boards Fellowship Program with the Nonprofit Leadership Center of Tampa Bay. Please join me in welcoming to this discussion President and CEO of Vistra Communications, Brian Butler. Thank you. She is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Tampa Bay Partnership, a coalition of regional businesses, leaders working together to improve the personal and economic well-being of Tampa Bay residents. She previously served as Chief Strategy and Operations Officer of United Way Suncoast, where she led core operations funding, including finance and information technology, and community investment for a 5-county region. In this role, she facilitated a COVID-19 emergency response process, which resulted in the disbursement of over $1.6 million in emergency relief funds to area nonprofits and participated in the planning of the organization's new strategic vision. She's a former banking executive working as the Florida Managing Director at Mutual of Omaha Bank, has held leadership roles at Wells Fargo and Branch Banking and Trust. She currently serves on the Board of Commissioners for the Tampa Housing Authority, the Executive Committee for the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, and the Community Tampa Bay Board. She is a 2013 Leadership Tampa graduate and member of the Leadership Florida Cornerstone class. The Tampa Bay Business Journal named her an up-and-comer in 2013 and its finalist for its Businesswoman of the Year in 2017. She is also a proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Please give a very warm welcome to President and CEO of the Tampa Bay Partnership, Demetra Simmons. Welcome. She began serving as the Executive Director of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission in January of 2015. In this capacity, she manages the long-range comprehensive planning for unincorporated Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, City of Temple Terrace, and Plant City. She has over 20 years of experience working in land use planning, comprehensive planning, and community planning for local governments in Florida. Before becoming Executive Director, she held a number of progressively responsible planning positions with the Planning Commission, including serving as Assistant Director for 3 years. Prior to working at the Planning Commission, she worked for the City of St. Petersburg, Charlotte County, and City of Tallahassee. She is a certified planner with the American Institute of Certified Planners, and in 2022 was elected to the prestigious College of Fellows of the American Institute of Certified Planners. She is a past president of the Florida chapter of American Planning Association, serving as president from 2014 to 2016. Please take a moment to welcome to this discussion the Executive Director of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission, Melissa Zornita. Thank you. last but not least, he has been in ministry for over 25 years at Crossover Church in Tampa, Florida. He has been the lead pastor for over 20 years. Under his leadership, the church has seen incredible growth. This multi-ethnic, multi-generational, multi-class church has become a model. As they grew, they relocated into a 43,000 square foot retail building that was formerly Toys R Us in Tampa's Uptown Innovation Quarter. Outreach magazine recognized Crossover Church as one of America's most innovative churches. It's also been featured in USA Today, Newsweek, CBS News, BET News, and several regional media outlets. He is the author of 6 books, the most acclaimed, Love Our City, which is a 30-day devotional for churches and small groups to go through together that most importantly includes a community service project aspect. His church has used this to reach thousands of people, new people in the area, as well as hundreds of churches who have joined the Love Our City movement. He is the founder of Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Conference, which has trained over 5,000 leaders, and his coaching network has trained over 100 urban pastors and church planters. He serves as the chairman of the Uptown Tampa Innovation District Board. My favorite fact about him is that he is internationally known as the hip-hop artist Urban D, who has released 9 full-length albums and several remix projects. Please join me in welcoming to this discussion the lead pastor of Crossover Church, Tommy Cullinan. Thank you. Great. We have microphones. So now, let's get to our panel. So I have questions for all of our panelists. I'll just call on you with this question. What was your organization's most important contribution to the Uptown Innovation Quarter over the past 5 years? I'll start with you, President Law.
Well, the University of South Florida has been a founding member of the Innovation District since its inception. As a matter of fact, I recall working with Judy Genshaft long before it even became an organization when we were talking about what can we do to lift up the community around the university. What is our part? What are other parts? And as we looked at the community and all the things that were going on, we have very mature businesses here. We have, of course, the university, we have Moffitt Cancer Center, we have the VA, we have Advent Health, we have Busch Gardens, the list goes on and on. These are mature businesses, but we never really linked arms to figure out how we could work together. And so actually this organization grew out of the Universities of South Florida's interest in doing something for the community. And I'm so proud to be here tonight and see all these people and say, you know what, we're gonna get there.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Overman.
Yes. Okay, this is an interesting question for me because I started working on this project well before I was elected as county commissioner in 2018. As Mr. Sharp knows, I would run into him in the community in the Heights saying, hi, you know, we're the bridge between what you're working on in the university area and downtown, so don't forget us here. But the good news is I've had an opportunity to really get committed to what's happening here in the university area. I watched a lot of the people who moved here in the 80s, late in the 90s, as they were relocated out of East Tampa and basically, you know, told, here, go move there, which is where it came up with the nickname that we wish we didn't ever hear. You know, this area is blessed in so many ways because there's been so many partners that now have a great understanding of how important it is to invest in communities that have been underappreciated. I think one of the things that I've done since I became a commissioner was really focus with my partners, you know, with planning, with Sarah Combs and the UACDC, you know, with my colleague, Mr. Myers, with Beth Alden, with David Gwen, as well as all the partners within the Uptown area to look for ways that we could collaborate for building a better community. This week, we will finally get the equity profile report that my biggest passion for bringing that to the board so that we could take a look at our policies to see how we were investing in communities that had been pretty much ignored for a long time, and how equity plays a part in our policy. Because what I learned in this process was how hard it was to get people engaged in investing in this community 15 to 20 years ago. And I said, there's got to be another way. So what's been really great about having the opportunity as a county commissioner and now the chair is that I have great working relationships with not only all the planning and private enterprise partners in this, but there is a sensitivity to what it is in terms of bringing health to the equation. Health is critically important to the success of our community. Having my previous legislative aide that's now at IFAS that is looking to create urban agriculture in ways to teach people how to actually not only grow food, but how to prepare food in partnership in our affordable housing efforts to make sure there's room for community gardens, the connectivity we're looking for, and the importance of investing in connecting housing, education, jobs, and transit is critically important. I think the biggest thing is bringing back an opportunity for us to marry affordable housing, workforce housing, and transit, and changing the land code in this area as an urban land code rather than a suburban land code, so that this community can truly thrive as a walkable, livable city. And I'm really glad you changed it to soaring cities. That's perfect. So just all of this is things that I've been working on for what feels like decades, but really strongly working on as we looked and dealt with the pandemic too. We recognized this community was probably going to be the last in line to be told what they needed to do to stay safe. And so I'm really proud of the work that we've done as a board to make sure we brought that to the attention of this community so they had a chance to survive. And now we're going to give them a chance to thrive. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Commissioner Myers. Great. Commissioner Myers, what was your organization's most important contribution to the Uptown Innovation Corridor over the past 5 years?
I'm glad you asked.
She's got a better answer than I do.
Well, through the county's Economic Development Department, we've contributed funds out here, and I'm pretty sure under the leadership of former County Administrator Mike Mayer, and when Mark was on the board, to begin to help this community. Now, I can say this community 30 years ago, when I knew the former hippie Victor Chris, going that far back, because it's important of where we are today, how this community has been transformed and continue to prosper, because I'm the commissioner for District 3, and I like to see District 3 prosper. And I thank Sarah Combs for what she has done in this community to make it prosper with affordable housing, jobs. When we think about what wasn't here many years ago, today we can say it is here, because we did not have jobs. We did not have housing. That's what people were coming downtown to the county for. We did not have the social services out in this area. Okay, think about it. Today, it's a wraparound. We have everything in this community that is needed from Hillsborough County government and all of the partners that are sitting here. But the one thing I always said, and Mark has said it earlier, it takes a community to hear what they want and how we can improve what we're doing. So that collaboration is very important, as we hear from the community as well tonight. It's what we believe in and think what should be here, but the buy-in, it would be very impactful that the community can tell us some of the things that they want, and then we can help them to implement the things that they are talking about and what is best for the future leaders that will be living in this community. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Myers, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, community. We will be asking you to, or inviting you to ask us questions a little bit later on after we've gone through a couple of questions. So thank you very much for pointing that out. Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, so represent Florida Blue, and I would say that from an involvement standpoint, the most important things that we've done over the last few years, I mean, I think most people here would point to the money. And the money is important. I mean, it's over $1.6 million over the last few years just to this small area. And I would argue that there's probably not a company that's not located directly in this area with their headquarters that's probably invested that kind of money into this area. I would also probably argue that throughout the state of Florida, you're not going to find very many places that is in a small geographic area, even in Jacksonville where our headquarters are, that has had that kind of investment in one small community, even from our company. So I think that money's important, but it's also the commitment and the involvement that we have decided that this is where we were going to focus our efforts. We call it internally, you know, it's a growing resilient communities, but kind of our working name was Uptown Rising. And part of that reason we use that term internally is because we want to help this community rise. There's a great organizations out there that are doing some really good work, and they talk about lifting people up. Our job is not to lift people up. Our job is to be alongside people as they rise up. And I think that is our commitment to this, this region and through this small community, is to be a part of what is going to be happening over the next 5 to 10 years and just be a facilitator to it. And that's what I think it's more, the money is important, but it's the commitment and the involvement that we've had as a company to this area.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rick. Ms. Simmons.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me this evening, and I think we should all get a round of applause for making it through the bios. But I think the way the partnership has contributed is a couple different ways that are really important. As you know, the cornerstone of the work that we do is our regional competitiveness report. That data, even though it's on a regional basis, is intended to have a local and neighborhood impact. And so I think that the work that we've done there and being able to show what's going on from a data perspective has been really key. I think secondly, probably our most important thing that we've done as it relates to the Uptown community would be our effort and our work that we did with the 2018 Offer Transportation referendum. We saw that we're very good about studying transportation in this community, not so great about doing transportation in this community. And so, you know, the partnership was very, one of the first organizations that was out early on that, not only using our advocacy for the 40-some-odd companies that we have that represent about 80,000 jobs in our region, but also from a dollars perspective and investing in that. We're so thankful to our Board of Commissioners for putting this back at the forefront of our community, and the partnership looks and hopes to be integral in helping that move forward in the future.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Renita.
Yes, that's me. Okay, sorry. I was expecting you to go the other direction, sorry. So I'll go way down in the weeds on something very specific that we worked on. We worked with Chris Bowen on this piece of property and creating a new land use category that enabled the redevelopment that's starting, and we can't wait to see continue. This piece of property now has an innovation corridor mixed use land use category that allows a lot more density, a variety of land uses, and we hope will be the start of what will spread along the rest of the corridor.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ms. Alden.
Thank you. So at the Transportation Planning Organization, I am so lucky to have the leadership of visionaries like Commissioner Overman and Commissioner Myers and Councilwoman Donahue. And I think the most tremendous thing that we have done over the last 5 years is create the Vision Zero Action Plan. This is a vision of zero traffic deaths and serious injuries in Hillsborough County. And this is something that we created with the partnership and collaboration of Hillsborough County, of all of the cities, with the Florida Department of Transportation. And it is a new commitment to safety, and not just saying, well, some deaths are acceptable. No deaths are acceptable. And let's figure out what we can do from a safe systems approach and taking that kind of lens and looking at our streets and roads. And why it's important in this community is because we have several of those top 20 most dangerous roads right here in the Uptown area. And we're not waiting to get started on those. And you saw Wade and Craig present some of the improvements that are already underway. And I'm just so excited about this. This is a major sea change in transportation. And I'm so pleased to be sharing it with you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ms. Combs.
Yes, well, thank you for having us and inviting the community as well. Really excited to be here and just share the important work that the university area CDC is doing. And over the last 5 years, we've been busy. We really have.
Just a little
we've
bit.
We've kind of focused our heads down and just dug into the work that's needed to be done. And that work was really found in the community, you know, in the homes of residents, in the community. Talking with them and understanding, you know, where they needed our help in order to be successful. So it was really a grassroots initiative approach. We created a community needs assessment that we do every 2 years, so that way we can have our pulse on the community, and that way we know who's in our community. When I first started over 11 years ago, it was predominantly African American. Now it's predominantly Hispanic. So it's really important that we keep our pulse on that community and understand who are we serving, who is our community, and most importantly, what are the needs of the community. And you know, once we really gathered a baseline to understand who we were serving, we then started creating programs. We created our workforce initiative program that focused it on education and training and employment. We also created our health and wellness program called Get Moving, which was an inclusionary program for people with youth, adults, seniors, veterans, people with disability. It was an idea that health and wellness should be available to anyone. It doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your age or your status, it should be available to you. And so we really focused on the people, and I think that that is so incredibly important. After we moved on from that, we launched our real estate arm, Harvest Hope Properties, LLC, and we created our land banking program, which was really excited. And as you heard from my introduction, we've now acquired 34 properties in the community. And then we've turned that back to the residents, and we said, what do you want? You know, that power imbalance is so important to be able to give that back and say, what do you want to happen? And most importantly, following through with it. So, you know, the first real project that we did was our park. And we thought we were going to build housing. That's really what we thought was going to happen on that 7 acres in the heart of the community. And we had some community conversations, and they said, no, we want a park. We want a place that our kids can play, a place where we can meet our neighbors and build that community efficacy that was so missing. And so we said, well, how do we build a private park? I mean, we're one of the first private parks to be built in the state of Florida. And so we figured it out, and we did it piece by piece, block by block. And the most important piece of that park is it's really the heartbeat of our transformation strategy. I mean, you'll find a place where residents are meeting each other, we're having programs and services, and then we're able to really communicate with residents, meeting them where they are. So just really proud of that park. If you go to the park, and if you haven't been to the park, Harvest Hope Park, between Fletcher, it's between 19th Street and 20th Street, go and take a look, and you'll see the community coming together. So it's a real point of pride for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Mr. Butler.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here with such a distinguished panel. Ours has been pretty simple, because I'm just a simple person. We came here, our family came here and just decided to get involved in the community, because one of the first people I met when I got here told me not to drive down bears. And I took that as a challenge.
Challenge accepted.
Got very involved in the NFL Yet Center 15, 16 years ago. From that, we got very involved in Mort Elementary. You know, what we do is pretty simple. We help put purpose, love, and possibilities into the hearts and the heads of the kids at Mort and their families. And we do that in a number of ways. We bring little kids from Mort Elementary to our office to have business meetings with me. And we allow them to take pictures sitting behind my desk. And I write a personal note that I share with them that I hope they hire me one day when they become a CEO. That's probably the most purposeful thing we've done in the last 5 years. But we really try to get involved, and we've worked with Sarah and her team. And we hope to do some great things with Dr. Law and her team, President Law and her team. We really just try to get in the community and help people believe that they can.
Yes. Thank you, Brian. Pastor Tommy.
All right, well, thank you for inviting the pastor/rapper to be part of it with all these great people. I'd say in the past 5 years, we've brought hope and resources to the community. And just to kind of rewind back to when we first came here to Uptown was 2010, heart of the recession happening. And that's when this area was known by that other name that we won't say. And so a lot of people thought we were crazy to come and take over a big retail box and dump millions of dollars into it in a neighborhood like this. And back then, Fowler Avenue had a lot of empty storefronts, and it was blighted, and it was rough. And so, but we felt like God had called us to this area to help rebuild it. And little did we know, just a few years later, it would be designated as an innovation district. And we'd be right in the middle of it, in the heart of it. And so our heart as a church has always been not to just bring people in the building, but to reach the community and serve the community outside around us. So we're very out of the box, out of the four walls thinking type of community. And so we've always done a lot of outreach since we first got here. And in the past 5 years, we started a nonprofit called Love Our City. And so during the year, we do dozens of different projects to serve the community, from our back to school jam to our trunk or treat to affordable Christmas to lots of food, distribution things that we do. And the signature thing that we do is our Love Our City Serving Week. And we gather, over the past number of years, we've gathered here in the community and serve and just meet needs and random acts of kindness. And all the partners that, we have a lot of great partners even right here in this room and up here on this panel that we partnered with, and it's been amazing. So many people we've been able to touch. And then when the pandemic hit, a lot of those partners called us and said, hey, what are you doing? What can we do together? And one of the bigger things that we've done, there's so many during the pandemic, but Feeding Tampa Bay, we partnered with them to become a grocery drive-through for 14 months in our parking lot and gave away over 1 million pounds of food and just helped so many families that were struggling. And so our church, we want to love all of our city, and that's why I love being part of this Uptown community. We want to include everyone. And our church community is multi-ethnic, multi-generational, multi-class, and we want to see everybody, like Rick said, everybody rise. I mean, you come on a Sunday, and some people drive to our church in a Bentley, and other people ride a bicycle to come to church, and everything in between, and that's how it should be. Like, you look around this room tonight, it's very diverse, and this represents pieces of our community. So give it up for yourselves.
Thank you very much for that, Pastor Tommy. Community members, I thank you for your indulgence in allowing me to read through the many just distinguished profiles of these panelists. I hope you're able to see not just the work that they're doing in their single organizations, but the work that they're doing together, right? That you heard them name dropping each other throughout the answers to these questions. I have just one or two more questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to ask us questions. So this is a free-for-all for anyone that wants to answer. So you told us what your past contributions of the past 5 years are. Now I'd like to ask you, what do you think your most important contribution will be in the next 5 years?
Secretary Gwen should go first. Yeah, Gwen should go. He hasn't said anything yet.
Well, I thought he didn't want to hear what I had to say.
I'm so sorry.
I think you can answer both questions.
Secretary, I'm so
Well,
sorry.
No, I'd be glad to. So I'll tell you, we're actually a major property owner in the district. We own Fowler Avenue, we own Bush Boulevard, and so you may say that we might get a note from the homeowners association, right? So, but our main office is actually right there at McKinley Drive, and I can tell you, the first day that I drove to work, I remember, driving down Fowler and thinking, man, this is a wide road.
It's a really wide road, and then you see people crossing that road, and you're like, people are going really fast. You have a similar situation on Bush, and you think, 30, 40 years ago, that's how they built roads. They built roads to move cars fast and get people around in their car. But the context of the road is not conducive for that, right? We should have a different type of road, both in Bush and on Fowler. And so transportation funding can be complex at times. We plan things out 5 years in the future before we get the funding ready. But what we did is over the last few years, have said, what can we do while we're waiting for the bigger money that we do have programmed? And so every time we got a little bit of bid savings, a few $million here, a few $1 million there on different projects, we were bringing them into this area to build things like the pedestrian signals out on Bush, to do the work you see now going out on Fowler, to fund studies. And I know we hate studies because a lot of times the studies sit on the shelf, right? But unfortunately, we know that HART has been underfunded for a long time. They don't really have the money to fund those studies. So what we did is we said, we will fund those studies, like the bus rapid transit study that we're doing right now, an intermodal center study that we're looking for, where can a good intermodal center study go in the district. We're doing all that because we have full confidence at some point HART will have money. We are not a transit provider, and we can't put money on transit projects without local money, but as soon as local money is there, we can, and we're reserving money to do that. But what it really does is unlocks the federal money, which is the big money for building big transit projects. So we have a vision that we share with a lot of the folks up here of one day this roadway on Fowler and Bush as well are going to be something that fits better into the neighborhood in which it sits, so that people can feel safe to walk across the road. People will feel safe to take a transit facility and get around. We're funding the circulator system with HART, so that'll start pretty soon. So we want to be a good neighbor. We feel like we're one of the neighbors in the neighborhood, and we're looking to be a better neighbor. We're looking to provide a better facility. And so we just look forward to working with all the folks up here to make that vision a reality. And we just appreciate all the leadership of the folks up here that will work with us.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you. And thank you for that lead in, because you actually nailed it. Honestly, what I believe that our county commission will do is bring back to the voters in November an opportunity to invest in our infrastructure. As Secretary Gwynn mentioned, HART has been running on a shoestring, and on its current shoestring, it will hit a fiscal cliff in 2027, roughly, right around that time period, where it will no longer be available and transit won't be in this community. And one of my passions has been literally, how do we help people understand the economic investment, the return on investment, the benefit to communities of investing in transit as it pertains to where people live. And we now will have an opportunity to tell and to educate our community on the value of investing in not only transit, but all of our transportation efforts. My grandson's cousin was run over by a car on a bicycle at 301 in Falkenberg on Thursday and died a couple of days ago. She was in a crosswalk on a road that was designed for speed. And if we can't look at the opportunities to redesign our roads, as wide as Fowler is, as Bush is, as other roads that are in this community, we will continue to have what the map we saw earlier on 15th, where there are pedestrian deaths from crashes, where cars work in the same kind of thing like big boat rule. You may have the right of way, but you will lose your life. So our goal here is to change that by investing in the resources that we will have available to us if our voters show up and support the referendum in November. We will have, a very large percentage, hopefully, the previous allocation towards transit, as well as a wide transportation plan in line with our long-range transportation plan. And that will benefit this community in a great way. But what it will also do, as Secretary Gwynn mentioned, it will unlock the largest investment in history that the United States has ever done in infrastructure money. As he alluded, all transportation projects in some level or shape or form require local matching dollars. And as Commissioner Myers and I know, looking at our budgets, we don't have it without additional resources to invest because of years of not raising the costs associated with investing in our infrastructure. So my passion, assuming I still have a job after November, it will be to really focus on investing with transparency in this community to lift all boats. You know, to look at our equity profile and see how that analysis actually produces real wealth across all of our income spectrums and creates the opportunity that is so rich in this community. I mean, just the stakeholders that are here have seen a big change. When we get the entire community, as Sarah Combs has done with the UACDC, and as the pastor has done with the Crossover Church, bringing that community together to partner with us to solve this and to create a great community is happening because we are collaborating and working together. And I want the county to be an active partner in that process. And that's one of the things I'd like to see us do in the next 5 years.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, one last response, and then I'm going to have some questions from the audience. President Law.
Okay, I'm going to be very quick. USF can bring jobs to this community because of our outreach to partners who want to interface with our community, with our faculty, with our students. We can bring these jobs here. We just opened a huge building, 120,000 square feet today, that is intended to bring jobs to this area, to bring in new industries, small companies that perhaps want to grow, technology companies, and the jobs that they need are of all different levels, and then the university can provide upskilling so that they will have the workforce they need to be successful. So I think that's what our goal is for this community.
Wonderful, thank you. So, members of the community, now it's your turn. I think we're going to need to take one of our microphones. What questions do you have for the panel? If you have one, we have a microphone stand up here. Please speak directly into the microphone and try and limit yourself to one question per trip, because there may be others that have questions as well.
Okay, I heard a lot of interesting talk about innovation to happen in the community, such as road development and inspiring the youth to be more involved. But one thing I didn't hear a lot was educational opportunities for middle and high school students, especially in this area. I noticed that the schools here a lot of times are underfunded and don't have all the programs that they needed, especially the Hillsborough County schools. And with what's going on with all the taxing and mask mandates and stuff, I find that the schools aren't receiving the funding needed. And the youth, which are going to lead this community, and the people who will be here 20 years from now having this meeting, are not getting the resources needed. So I'm wondering what your plan is to do that and to raise more educational opportunities and for the youth and jobs for them.
Great question.
I love your question, by the way. So I'll give an attempt to try and answer, just from a couple different perspectives. Number one, I helped create a program called CEOs in Schools, where we put a CEO in every elementary school in our county. And the whole intent of that program was to help youth realize they're partners in the community that are willing to work with them and help them to become, pass education, but become owners of businesses and make positive impacts in our community. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, and what I personally want to see, and I hope, we hope to see, is that, our commissioners talk about a funding stream for transportation. What I want to see is some of those youth believe that they can own their own businesses and be prepared and ready for those jobs that are going to be available because of this funding stream. So while you're working on the policy aspects of it, we want to continue to empower our youth and our young adults to be in a position and to grow their businesses to be ready to do work for these kind of, and for these type opportunities that are out there right in front of us. But if we don't start now, they won't be ready. So that's what I put a lot of my attention in, is to help those small businesses be ready. And the youth are part of that.
Great. Commissioner Overman and then Mr. Bennett.
I'll keep it really short. This year, I actually, with the board's help, funded the Future Academy, which basically is a job hope creator or vision creator for kids in high school, to help them see what occupations are out there, what companies are actually do. You know that show, This Is How Things Are Made, or whatever that thing is. It's like, you know, how do we make this? It takes kids to businesses to give them vision, and then provides them, connects them to educational resources to help them get certified. The county is looking at how we can help people understand what government does, you know. But I think in partnership with, you know, with Sarah Combs, with the UACDC, with various different partners here, we can create some vision for the kids in this community to help them understand where their opportunities lie, so they stay here and then either become the trades expert that they need to do, or become the, you know, rocket scientists that they can do with the innovation here. And I'd look forward to having that opportunity to help those kids thrive and partner with our schools to do that, because that's what they do. They partner with the schools to bring the kids to these organizations. So.
Wonderful.
So one of the things with this investment that Florida Blue has made, and with what's going on right now, is we're trying to get a lot more money, and we're trying to do some really good things to look at what is needed in the community specifically. And we're working with the Tampa Bay Partnership, also with the Honors College, to look at some benchmarking, to figure out where this community is right now, and then what needs to be done over the next 5 to 10 years. And we know, one of the things that we know is education is one of them. And so what we want to do is benchmark this area against other areas in Hillsborough County, other areas in Florida, and say, where are the interventions that are needed? So if we'll look at things like, you know, third grade reading levels are extremely important. We know high school, preparation for high school in 7th and 8th grade are very important. We understand what's needed sometimes in high school, but we haven't done those things. But with this benchmarking, the idea is we can say over the next 5 to 10 years, we now have a goal to get third grade reading levels, to get high school preparation at this level, to make sure that it's equal to what it is, say, in South Tampa or in Carrollwood. And then we will look at interventions that are very specific, very targeted within this community, to make sure that we are looking every single year to make sure that it is moving up. And if it's not moving up, what does that mean? Then it means that that intervention isn't working, and then we're going to find another intervention that's going to work to make sure this happens. So there's this really interesting way of doing that, to make sure that we are looking every single year to make sure we're moving forward on the things that are going to be making a difference and an impact educationally in this area. And we're not going to like hold back. If something's not working, we will just throw it to the side and we will find something that will work. And that's kind of our commitment to what's going to happen in this area for that.
Great, thank you. Great question. Some more questions.
Where do you want to go, Dr. Cross? Second row?
Yep.
So thank you for all being here tonight. We've talked a lot about the vision for soaring cities. It's pretty exciting. We've talked about transportation, education. We've talked about a lot of things, but you really can't have a healthy community without addressing mental health and behavioral health. Baycare led an initiative, Tampa Bay Thrives, Florida Blue and a lot of other companies and leaders in this community got involved in that coalition to advocate for more mental health and behavioral health in this community. Can you bring us up to date on where Tampa Bay Thrive is now? And can you address the commitment that you have and your organizations have to seeing mental health and behavioral health take the position that it needs, not only with the students that we have, but with the entire community? And it was never more evident than it has been in the aftermath of the pandemic. So.
I'd like to take
Anybody can take that.
And thank you for your question. Hillsborough County government has a healthcare plan. And through our healthcare plan, and I attend some of the advisory committee meetings, mental health and behavior health, we have something in place that addresses that every month in helping people. Jean Early is the director of our healthcare department, and we realize that mental health and the behavior health, I think we have the behavior health committee that addresses for the region all the behavior health needs. We funded and have a program coming on, I want to say this September, that addresses mental health and behavior health. And we're opening up a facility, and I can't remember where in Hillsborough County, that will be dealing with the behavior health and mental health issues. But I'm going to see you afterwards to get your contact so that I can call you directly and give you all of the information that you need, because we are on top of two of the most critical issues when it comes to attending community meetings. We hear that all the time. What are we doing with mental health and behavior health? Thank you.
I think Dave's going to talk to us about Tampa Bay Thrives.
Hello? Oh, just because I'm on the board, so happy to do that. So Tampa Bay Thrives mission is to help, probably don't quote me back to Baycare folks or anybody else, but basically help improve the mental health wellness of the community. And one of the major projects that we've been working on over the last really year and a half, 2 years is behavioral health urgent care. There's a huge gap of getting behavioral health in a kind of a crisis situation, not Baker Act, if you're Baker Act, it's that serious, but anxiety, depression, many other things. And there's a shortage of providers, we know that. You typically can go to an emergency room, but then you get released right away. So this whole project was to create an ecosystem where you can call a certain number, what's called Let's Talk, website and everything, and access professional counselors and go through a triage system to get care. And it varies whether you have insurance or no insurance, and it was modeled after a program in New York City. The great news, thank you to the county, this program is moving here. It was tested. You know, some things work, some things don't work. You learn, right, in that testing phase, all innovation. It's coming in, and the crisis center is going to take over the program, part of the 211 work that they are so good at for Hillsborough County, and the county gave them I believe it's $1.8 million grant to institute that in Hillsborough County and be matched by Baycare for $1.8 million also. So it's actually a really good program. More to come. You'll start hearing more about it, but that county money has really helped that jumpstart take that program to the next level. So I'm not on the panel, but I hope I answered that okay.
We just ran out of chairs, Dave. All right, we had one question, I think, in the fourth or fifth row in the center, and then we have one question on the left. I'm looking to my timekeepers. Don't let me run over, because I will.
Hello, I know a lot of you. Actually, my question is more about, does not involve money, it involves people. And one of the things we need over at Amrock Fab Lab, which is downstairs, and you saw some of the robots upstairs, and you heard from Dahlia, who's one of our students, and I think Dr. Davidson's already looking to get her in the Honors College, is we need mentors. And there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion about mentors. Mentors are extraordinarily valuable in what we're doing and what everybody else is doing, and valuable in the schools, right? It's the same thing you were referring to a little bit. How can we get more mentors to help with the programs that we have and that others are working on, from our early stage entrepreneurship program to our youth STEM education programs and to all the other things we're doing? We have all these great businesses coming in through the new USF Research Center, which I was delighted to be at the ribbon cutting for. And I already talked to Dr. Sylvia Thomas about this as well. How do we get Black, brown, women, Hispanic, all different types of people who are professionals in the community to spend a little bit of time with the students that we're bringing through our programs that we make free to the people in our community, and to build that mentor program up. And welcome the ideas, and I'll give my card to everybody and send them to us.
Great question.
Well, I think it's a great question, and let me just first say I'm happy to be a mentor, so just count me in. And then also, you know, the talent pipeline and workforce is something that's very important to the partnership. We have a number of our investors that are up here with me today, and you know, we'd be happy to get that message out to our, like I said, 40 some odd companies, and just having a better understanding of what you're looking for, so we can help you, you know, get the message out. I can't hear what she's saying.
Anybody breathing? Great.
We can help with that.
All right. We have one. Yes. Yes. One question over here in the second row.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tommy, and Sarah, and Melissa, and Rick, and David, and Kim, and Michael, and Rhea, and Gwen, and Demetra, and Beth, and Brian, all great rappers, all great pastors. Thank you all. My question, I usually ask about transportation, but you've covered it elegantly about the penny we must have to replace the one and hopefully distribute to transportation the money already collected with some help from the courts and the legislature. But my question is about affordable housing. How can Uptown become the consummate laboratory to show the rest of this region how to address affordable housing with 20% rent increases, throwing tens of thousands of folks in Florida just in the last 3 months to homelessness? How can we be robust, not with old stale techniques like density bonus that maybe someone does not even need, but with really robust affordable housing incentives like real property tax breaks and free transit passes to everybody in that project, including a certain percentage for affordable, et cetera, et cetera? How can we be robust about affordable housing's urgency?
Yeah. I was waiting for housing. I was just waiting, and I'll let Commissioner Myers, who's the chair of Affordable Housing, our board, talk a little bit more about the policy and things that they're working on. And did I say Commissioner Myers? Commissioner Overman. There's too many commissioners here today. I'm on the board with Commissioner Overman on that board, so we work closely together. But you know, I think one of the challenges that we're seeing in the community specifically, and everyone's talking about, you know, we can't build enough, but you know, we're not talking about the affordable housing that we're losing. We are losing affordable housing in this community at a rate that is just astronomical. And so these affordability periods we're losing them. And so, I mean, just a couple weeks ago, 100 units. Before that, it was like 60 units. And so, you know, that's another piece of the conversation that we're not hearing, and we need to talk about how we can, you know, create some new opportunities and innovation around that. The other thing I want to, you know, just briefly talk about, owning the dirt. Right? Land is key, and we hear that a lot in the community, you know, owning the dirt. And I think it's symbolic in saying that if you own the dirt in terms of being home ownership, then you get to determine what happens to your fate. Right now in the community, they are being displaced. Like, let's not, you know, let's cut to the chase and talk about that. It is happening. It is gentrification via displacement. We're seeing on a daily basis, and they're getting pushed out. Residents are getting pushed out. You know, the cost of living in this community. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and for a one-bedroom apartment, they were paying $1,000 a month, and they told me it went up to $1,600 in this community, and I just couldn't imagine it. So I think that, you know, other than being innovative in all of those things, it's really important that we acquire land. And so we've land banked, and so thank goodness that we did that in 2016, because now we have that stock, that land stock, to be able to work on these innovative solutions. And so we're building in partnership with Blue Sky Communities. We're building Uptown Sky, which is 61 units, and that's for the income levels that no one's building for. And so it's taking a capital stack and creating this opportunity, taking a 4% low-income housing tax credit, pairing pairing that with the HOPE funding that we got, $5.8 million from the HOPE funds, and then being able to create an opportunity for housing 61 families in our community to call home. And then we're going to place services, workforce services, computer labs, and other services in the bottom floor. And so it's really talking about, you know, meeting residents where they are and being place-based. And so bringing the services to the community, and it has to happen with housing as well. You know, the other piece is home ownership, and I said that own the dirt. And it's really important because, you know, for residents, it's this trauma and it's this fear of not knowing when it's the, you know, the rug is going to be pulled out from underneath them. And so for us, we are creating our university townhomes. We're going to be starting construction on those in the next couple months, which we're very excited about. And that is specifically home ownership opportunities for residents that are 80% to 100% the AMI. And so you'll be able to have a beautiful 3-bedroom, you know, 2-bath townhome in the heart of the community, something you can afford. And so we want to do more of that. We're also building a brand new cultural campus that U.S. Representative Kathy Castor shared the news last week, $2 million investment to be able to do that. And we're building housing on that as well. And so I think it's just really looking at ways we can partner with each other, leverage the resources. There are resources being put from federal resources to state resources. We've got to figure out a way to capture that and leverage it to really meet the need where it is. And housing is so incredibly important. And then I'm going to pass it over to Commissioner Overman to talk about what we're doing at, you know, the Affordable Housing Board, because there's a lot of new innovative strategies as well.
Thank you. And we can't do it without partners like Sarah Combs, as well as many of the developers that are in the affordable housing space. Hillsborough County has an annual $10 million commitment. We advocated on not sweeping Sadowski funds so that we could actually build more housing. The legislature this year is taking $100 million of the $300 million that is left in the Sadowski fund and making it for a down payment assistance program. However, if the limits are where they are and where Hillsborough is, and if home ownership is only 10% in the university area, this area is highly at risk of losing the people that you want to do a baseline on. Because those people are not going to be the people here, you know, within the next 12 months, as fast as our rates and interest rates are going up. The university put together an eviction mitigation legal defense fund. The county has developed a similar one that's county-wide. We have an eviction mitigation plan. We've been pumping money out with ERAP faster than any other county in Florida in order to help families that are at risk or become at risk of eviction that can actually hold their place for a period of time until we're able to create more housing stock. But creating housing stock isn't something that happens tomorrow. And so we're going to be working with our legislators to try and level the playing field with tenants and landlords in order to help those landlords understand how critically important it is to make sure that you have a tenant that is able to stay and you don't destroy the neighborhood. Inadvertently, because the market price says you can charge this now. The problem we have is that we have very high incidence of cash buying that's happening in the community. We have investors coming in and buying 800 homes in Hillsborough County last month. And that leaves our community severely at risk of inflation. Because if you own the home, you have homestead protection, taxes don't go quite up as much, you get a better interest rate. If you have a community full of home ownership, you have lower interest rates as well as lower insurance rates. And this community is hugely at risk of what's happening right now in our community. So the community land trust that not only you have, the community land banking that you've been doing, but the Hillsborough County is creating a community land trust in order to buy the land and then have the development, whether it be a home ownership or otherwise, be the only portion that's taxed and subject to ad valorem tax. But in addition to that, we're working very rapidly in order to be able to preserve as much of the county-owned land, which is then donated to either the community land trust or is put out for affordable housing only. So every piece of land that the county becomes an owner of, for whatever reason, affordable housing has first dibs. So we're doing everything we can within the law, but our Florida law does not protect tenants, does not protect renters. So trying to create home ownership is important, but that down payment assistance program that is part of our funding this year is going to be really hard to use because our home prices and income levels don't match up for being able to actually be able to make the down payment when you're competing with a cash buyer. So having that opportunity to fight back on the corporate ownership or have residential leases instead of corporate leases is what a lot of these tenants are being offered, is an important issue that we need to bring to the legislature, and I need your help.
Thank you. Wonderful. We done? One more. Okay. We got time for one more question.
My name is Roland, and I own PMI-JCM Realty Group, and I'm on the board of Habitat for Humanity, so I'm all for affordable housing. But I'm also a part of NARPM, and I work with a lot of small investors, and I hear it from both sides, right? We would definitely want to make it so that the homes are affordable for people to stay in the neighborhood. But we also want to make it, we want to incentivize investors to build quality homes so that people are not living in slum conditions. So what is the plan, or what are we doing to bring in or to include small investors that are local to the Tampa Bay region so that they can be a part of the solution and don't contribute to the problem?
Thank you for bringing that question up. I think that's something that a lot of people think about, and I think that it goes around with talking about the conditions that are in the community, and there are some deplorable conditions that people are living in, and they're fearful because if they lose that spot, there's no other spots. And so, what we're really asking any developers, any investors that are interested in buying properties in the community, meet with us, talk to us. We have incentives for you. We just were able to work with Hillsborough County. I don't know if you're aware, but there's infrastructure challenges that we've been working on in terms of water and sewer in the community. And so $5 million has been allocated. And so guess what? If you work with us, we can help connect you to city water and city sewer. If you help work with us, we can talk to about incentives, but we want to ensure that that the rent is fair, and there's a lot of incentives. So I mean, that's what we're bringing to the table, is incentives, how you can be involved in what we're part of. Join our coalition, help understand the the families that are in the area, work with our affordable housing. I think our director of real estate is here, Jim somewhere, and we're creating a landlords coalition, so that way landlords can really come to the table and learn about what's happening in the area, but also be able to say, hey, if you have an opening, let us know, because we have quality residents, families that we want to place in those apartments as well. We're doing something that we're launching, it's called Rehab to Restore Hope, because of the conditions in the community. And if you know the history of this area, it was all professors and student housing, and so you see duplexes and triplexes, multiplexes. That's the makeup of the community, less than 10% home ownership. So it's multifamily, and that means there's not a lot of home ownership. But we're trying to rehab and restore those apartment complexes in the community because it's needed. But we want to do it in a fair and equitable way. We want to do it in a way that you don't displace a family. And we think that there's a way to do it, but we have to have a conversation around it. When just big investors come in and buy up all these multifamily, hundreds and hundreds of units, what they're doing is waiting for the leases to expire, and then non-renewal leases, everyone moves out, they're slapping a coat of new paint, new appliances, and raising that rent $500 more a month. That's happening, and I'm not saying everyone's doing that, but that is happening, and that's what's displacing our families, and we're seeing that we're losing the fabric of our communities, the fabric of our culture, the fabric of what our strengths and identity are. And so we have to get ahead of it. But in order for us to do that, we've all got to come to the table, because this isn't an issue that just UACDC can solve or the county can solve. I mean, this is really an issue that just doesn't just affect low-income people. It's affecting, our teachers, our firemen, our police officers. It's affecting you business owners. You can't get workers because everyone's getting displaced. And so I think that, again, we just need to keep talking about solutions, figuring out, you know, one duplex at a time, one family at a time. I mean, that's a win. We have to look at the smaller piece because sometimes it's so overwhelming that you just kind of want to throw in the towel. We can't do that. We can't do that. Families are depending on us. Generations are depending on us. And so I think just keep those conversations coming. And, you know, thankfully the county is a big supporter. Florida Blue has been a big supporter, bringing more of those investments, but making sure the investments are going to the residents of the community. Making sure those investments are going to areas that really need it. And, you know, changing the entire family unit, right? You can't just pull one person out of poverty. You have to focus on the entire family unit. So if you're able to intercept and help that family with a better quality of life, that's going to change the projection of those children's future. And so partnerships, and incentives, because we're smart. How do you get a business to work with you, right? Someone that's focused on the bottom line, on that revenue. Well, if you talk money with them, right? Like I have an incentive if you come in and work with us. We can get you, you know, lower costs. We can help with the impact fees. We can help with connect you to sewer and water. I mean, that's a huge amount of money that we could possibly save you. So we want to talk to you about that. If any investors are in the room and interested in affordable housing, please come talk to us because we've shown examples of how we're able to work with you, and it's successful. It's a mutually beneficial, successful program, not just for you and not just for us, but most importantly for the community.
Thank you. So I think we're about out of time. I want to thank you, members of the community, for your questions and engagement and taking the time out of your busy schedules. Really, really great questions. What Sarah brought up about partnership is key to advancing our community. And I'll close with this, and then I want to thank all of our panelists. Rick Bennett had a quote a couple months ago that I really, really loved. It's that when a rising tide lifts all ships, you need to make sure it lifts everyone, not just the boats, right? You got to lift everyone up. And so thank you so much for your questions. Please make sure you reach out to the members of this panel if you have additional questions. Let's please give a round of applause to our distinguished panel members.